All right, it's 10 a.m. I'm going to open the proceedings for the Judiciary Committee, and would you all please join me in Pledge of Allegiance to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so before I get started this morning, I just want to make a couple of notations. First, as you probably can see, we have hearings this morning on a number of bills that are very similar. I expect that we will have a number of witnesses on each of the bills, and that's fine. What I am going to do with regard to all of the bills that we're going to be hearing this morning, and it may be that I would do this afternoon also, but at least for this morning, I'm going to limit the testimony, except for the sponsor of the bill. I'm going to limit the testimony for everyone else to 2 minutes. And I would also suggest that to the extent that the bills are overlapping, if you want to come in and give your testimony on 4 bills and say the same thing or virtually the same thing, I suppose that's okay. But you can. It may be that it would be more productive to just tell us how you feel about the bills generally, and we'll kind of assume that based on what you've told us that to the extent the bills are virtually the same or very close, that your feelings on one reflect your feelings on the others as well. So with that, I'm going to open the hearing on House Bill 1217, and the chair recognizes the prime sponsor, Representative Petterno.
Good morning, Chairman Lynn and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Katie Peternell. I'm here to introduce House Bill 1217, permitting classification of individuals based on biological sex under certain limited circumstances. And this bill is part of a series of 6 pieces of legislation between the House and the other body in an effort to basically reframe the truth in that men are men and women are women, and that in certain spaces, women deserve their safety and privacy. And that's essentially what this bill is about. This does not differ very much from House Bill 148 or Senate Bill 268, except that it eliminates prisons. So this bill is specific to lavatory facilities or locker rooms and athletic or sporting events. And with that, I am unable to take any questions because I have to go chair a hearing over in education policy.
Great. Thank you very much. All right, next I'm going to call on Representative Alice Wade, please.
Hello, members of the committee. Thank you very much for taking my testimony today. For the record, I am Representative Alice Wade, representing Stratford 15 and Dover Ward 2. So, as you just heard, there are 5 pieces of this legislation, maybe 6. I lose count because there's just an absurd number of bills attacking transgender people, and today, I want to address something that I've heard, which is the idea that somehow attacking trans people is a winning political issue. And it's just not. If you looked at the polls from the 2024 election, voters were asked to rank their top concerns for the election. And dead last was transgender people. Dead last. The economy, affordability, housing, healthcare. Those are the issues that people care about. They do not want us micromanaging who goes to what restroom, not to mention they don't want us figuring out how to enforce that, because it is literally impossible to enforce this in a practical manner. If let's say this bill passes and I go to the women's room at the State House, and the State House decides that you're going to implement a bathroom policy. So I walk into the women's room, and somebody points at me and says, "I think you're transgender." let's say I hadn't stated that publicly. For the record, I am a trans woman. They would have no way to prove that on the spot. No way. Literally nothing. There is nothing you could do to prove that I am transgender under this legislation. I could give you my driver's license and it says female. Like, I could strip out. I've had bottom surgery. So this is not only unenforceable, it will result in cis people getting accused of being trans even when they're not. That's going to happen. It has happened in states like Arizona and states like Florida. All of these places, it's impossible.
You're over your time.
Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions for this witness? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Claudia Stewart, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Claudia Stewart, and I'm submitting this testimony as a concerned New Hampshire woman, not a cis woman. A member of the Independent Women's Network, Southern New Hampshire chapter, which supports practical policies that protect freedom, opportunity, and safety for women and girls. Thank you today for holding a hearing today on HB 1217, 1299, 1442, 1447, and 1564 today. I strongly urge the committee to pass these important bills, which will work together to solve several issues New Hampshire women face on a daily basis. Women are being forced to surrender privacy and safety in restrooms, lockers, and single-sex spaces to men's desires, while government officials continue to ignore biological differences. This legislation simply preserves what women and girls have always had, private spaces. They are straightforward common sense and make sure women and girls are not required to share those intimate female-only spaces with men. These bills set clear rules to restrooms, lockers, prisons, sports, and other single-sex spaces while respecting the rights of every resident of New Hampshire. There is nothing controversial in expecting our elected leaders to protect us from having our rights trampled on. I find it hard to believe that at age 67, I'm sitting here fighting to retain something that I've had my entire life, the right to privacy and women-only spaces. If New Hampshire passes these bills, the state will clearly show that the privacy, safety, and equal chances for women and girls are worth defending. I respectfully ask the committee to move forward these bills. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Questions for this witness?
No question.
Seeing none? All right, next I'm going to call on, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Brommel Sill? Browen Sill? Bronwyn, I'm sorry.
No
Thank you.
worries. Can you hear me? Oh, yeah. Okay. Dear Chairman Lynn and members of the Judiciary Committee, my name is Bronwyn Sims, and I'm submitting this testimony as a concerned New Hampshire woman and as the leader of Independent Women's Network, Southern New Hampshire chapter, which supports practical policies that protect freedom, opportunity, and safety for women and girls. Thank you for holding this hearing on HB 1217, HB 1299, HB 1442, HB 1447, and HB 1564. Today, I strongly urge the committee to pass these important bills, which all work together to solve several issues New Hampshire women are facing on a daily basis. Government officials have ignored biological differences, forcing women to surrender privacy and safety in restrooms, locker rooms, and single-sex spaces to men's desires. As a survivor of male violence at 16 years old, I was held up at gunpoint during my first job, forced to the ground with coworkers while the intruder robbed and mugged us. I've been mugged 3 times with physical assaults, including being shoved down, struck by a rock, and attacked with a knife in a subway. And recently trapped in the Keene YMCA by a man identifying as a transgender who lingered 20 minutes. I know the terror of unpredictable male intrusion all too well. These experiences, coaching girls as young as 5, drive my plea: protect our spaces from vulnerability and worse. These bills are straightforward common sense It makes sure women and girls aren't required to share those intimate female-only areas with men. These bills set clear rules to restrooms, locker rooms, prisons, sports, and other single-sex spaces while still respecting the rights of every resident in New Hampshire. This legislation simply preserves what women and girls have always had, private spaces that not only protect them from violence and indignity, but allow them to flourish.
Ma'am, your time is up, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate you letting me hear my testimony.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day and get home safely in the snow.
I guess not. Pamela Sinnott is next, and the one on deck after that will be David Trumbull. So, Ms. Sinnott, please.
Yeah, you got it right.
Thank you.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
So my name is Pam Sinnott. I'm a resident of Concord. I am submitting this testimony in opposition to HB 1217 because, among other reasons why this is a bad piece of legislation, it does not address the issue of transgender women whose sex was assigned male at birth, but who are no longer anatomically male. Giving two examples here. Jessica is a trans woman whom I've known for decades. She didn't come out as trans until she was 52. Jessica is about 6 feet tall and has what most would consider masculine features, for example, a prominent Adam's apple. However, Jessica underwent gender reassignment surgery and had a vaginoplasty. This is the removal of a penis and creation of a vagina and vaginal canal. Jessica, of course, doesn't have ovaries. Sue, not her real name, who is the parent of a former client in another state, also came out as female in her 50s. Sue underwent full gender reassignment surgery and had facial feminization to soften her features. Sue is not tall, and based on photos I saw of her, would pass as female. Regardless of the law, I suspect neither of these women would use a men's bathroom, but Sue could most likely do so without consequence, as it's unlikely anyone would suspect she was assigned male at birth. Here's where the messy part comes in. Are trans women who look more like Jessica.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, your time is up, okay?
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
I urge you to vote opposed to this bill.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Next, I'm going to call on David Trumbull, and the person on deck after that will be Cameron Munz, M-U-N-Z.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is David Trumbull. I'm opposed to this bill. On the bathroom issue, first of all, I would like to point out that there's no enforcement possible. The statute does not have a definition of biological sex other than to say the male and female biological sexes. It uses the word itself to define itself, and that can't be done. It presumes there's a definition of biological sexes elsewhere in New Hampshire statutes, which does not exist. This definition also is a simple binary, which does not match with reality. We know that there are at least 30 different types of intersex variations. Intersex people are not considered in this statute. It also does not represent the civil rights of transgender people. Biology can be different, could be chromosomes, physical attributes, or reproductive capabilities. The statute is incredibly vague and it is poorly defined. It could never be enforced. The result will be that intersex and trans people will lose their civil rights to go to public places. They'll lose their First Amendment right to freedom of association. They won't be able to go to school board meetings, come to the State House, or have a child in a school because they won't be able to use a bathroom. On the sports issue, I would refer you to Governor Cox, who vetoed this same bill out in Utah, and he said that let's be kind. There are very few transgender athletes. They are not winning. They're not taking away scholarships, but they are at danger of mental health issues. There are better ways to act in this. The law doesn't just tell us what's legal. It also serves to educate. This bill educates that discrimination and prejudice are acceptable rather than teaching us that acceptance should be our model. Also on the sports issue, I would urge you to look at the International Olympic Committee. They have a policy. They look at access as well as competition because the transgender athletes should also have a right to access. The issue of competition fairness, I also would refer you to look at studies that will show you that after a year on hormone replacement therapy, there is no competitive advantage. So there's no reason for the bill in that respect either. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Questions for this witness?
Yes.
Question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your testimony. You mentioned sports as part of this bill, and keeping in mind that the bill says in athletic or sporting events or competitions in a sport or similar activity in which physical strength, speed, or endurance is recognized to give an advantage to biological men. I'm not sure of your age, do you have a recollection of the time when baseball was segregated between the Negro leagues and the Major League Baseball?
Thank you for your question, Representative Birch. That would have been really before my childhood, but I am aware of that. Yes, sir.
If I could follow up.
Sure.
And are you aware that a similar or almost exact argument was made that it would be unfair to white players if black players whose physical strength, speed, or endurance, to use the quote, might give them an advantage?
I am not aware of that part of history. Again, Representative Birch.
Just to follow the last question.
One more question.
Thank you. Are you aware that eventually in the late 40s, that folks like Jackie Robinson and Roy Campanella and Satchel Paige started playing in the major leagues and the sky didn't fall in?
Thank you, Representative Birch. That I am aware of. I grew up loving baseball, basketball, all of the sports, and the civil rights of African Americans to play in those leagues was important. And today we have the right of transgender athletes to play if they, especially for young girls, young transgender girls, if they take puberty blockers before they hit puberty and then they take hormone replacement therapy, they would never have gone through a male growth spurt. They would never have testosterone. There would be no advantage whatsoever. There is no reason for them to be excluded from participating in sports. You've seen them come and testify before you, and they'll tell you that their teammates are thrilled to have them on their team. The purpose of youth sports, and I did coach youth sports, is to have teammates to compete, to enjoy the experience. And I think this bill forgets the purpose of youth sports.
Other questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Next, I'm going to call on Cameron Munns, and the next witness up after that will be Kelly Twiss.
Thank you. My name's Cameron Munns. I've been a New Hampshire resident for about 40 years. So I very much deeply oppose this bill. I'm not surprised that New Hampshire Republicans are continuing their trans obsession. If we have a supposed radical ideology, then you certainly have a radical obsession. 4 bathroom bills and another to erase gender identity from anti-discrimination law, and that's just today. And you know what? You're probably not going to hear much that you haven't heard already. And yet again, here we are, dealing with your obsession. I am trans with trans friends and a large, beautiful community around me, and I don't even think or talk about transgender people as much. Enforceability is irresponsible and dangerous, so which bathroom should I use, and what does that look like if I'm questioned? By Rep. Mazur's assumption, based on an interaction we had last year, I'm biological male. So men's room, right? However, I do have a vagina, so women's room, right? If so, would Mazur be allowed to question my genitalia solely based on what I look like? Do I need to carry my birth certificate to pee at a restaurant or the mall or in this very building? Enforcing bills like this is steeped with archaic stereotypes and encourages judgment on one's body. Be careful if you are too tall or too short, or your hair is too short or too long. You have cast the trans community as guilty with no chance of innocence. I agree that private spaces are critical. Private. Trans people have been forced to share deeply personal information in order to defend themselves against your obsessions. Again, you have cast the trans community as guilty with no chance of innocence. There are already laws in place to protect privacy and prosecute those that violate it. I'm not really sure why we're doing this again, and it's a waste of our time, and quite frankly, a waste of yours.
Thank you very much.
Generally, half of
Your
you
time-
aren't really listening to folks anyway
your
when
time
we
is up,
speak,
okay?
so.
Thank you. Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you very much. Right. Yeah, just so for new people that may have come in, let me just again state that we're imposing a 2-minute time limit on testimony. Next is Kelly Twiss, and on deck will be Pusha Roberts.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a Kingston, New Hampshire resident, a woman, and I'm here to very strongly oppose HB 1217. I do want to acknowledge today that you've been kind enough to schedule 5 separate but nearly equal bills today. And yes, that phrasing is intentional. Each bill attempts to solve what appears to be the same non-problem that keeps getting vetoed over and over again. It's a waste of time and resources of the largest legislative body in the entire country. HB 1217 proposes allowing classification based on what it calls biological sex, justified as protecting privacy and safety. These are serious concerns, but when legislation frames a small group primarily through a safety lens, without evidence of a problem, it risks implying those individuals themselves are the risks. In New Hampshire, there is no documented pattern of incidents in bathrooms or similar facilities driving this bill. None. Doesn't exist. And beyond that constitutional sort of problem where you're trying to deny rights to people based on a non-problem, this bill just doesn't explain how it could work in practice. And it can't. Who enforces this? Are businesses expected to act as gender inspectors? Is there a reporting mechanism? Are you going to have a 24/7 hotline? A state enforcement guidance for how quickly they need to get this person out of a bathroom? There are no signage requirements, so how are residents or visitors supposed to know when a space is governed by this classification? And businesses, if they do post exclusionary signage, would that create discrimination itself? The bill doesn't say. Allowing classification is not the same as authorizing discriminatory messaging, and that distinction matters legally and practically. This also may empower individuals to enforce the law themselves, which raises safety concerns, not just for transgender people, but for anyone who doesn't
Ma'am,
conform.
Your time is up.
Okay. Luckily, there's 5 more bills, right?
Thank you. Next, I'm going to call on Pasha Roberts, and the next person up on deck would be Jennifer Smith.
Good morning, everybody. So honorable members of the Judiciary Committee, I am Pasha Roberts. I live in Wilmette, New Hampshire, and I'm on the board of 603 Equality. And I'm speaking in opposition to this bill, HB 1217. So last year, I testified to remind you that there is no real definition of biological sex in the bill. Any first-year medical student understands the existence of people like myself who are intersex, physically born not exactly male or female. This is just biology before we even get into the age-old question of being transgender. I could also note the incredible pain that this bill will cause to people who are transgender or intersex. Others are bringing that here today. These things should matter, but let's focus on something much simpler. The governor has vetoed this 3 times. She vetoed it because it's unenforceable. And she's right. This adds legal teeth to a moral panic around gender. It will lead to harassment, security incidents, and lawsuits. Not knowing how to enforce this, it will lead to invasive genital inspections by school nurses and mall cops. This has already happened in other states. There's no way to prove you're male or female in this law. People are going to assume it's what's in your pants. That's not true. Non-trans women are already under the microscope just due to haircuts and body shape. I mean, your mother, your sister, your niece are not exempt. Last year, there was an incident at the Liberty Hotel in Boston where a short-haired non-trans woman was accused of being a man. Security knocked on the stall as she was urinating and removed her from the hotel. That case was just settled against the hotel for $10,000 plus. We are inviting this kind of case to New Hampshire. This bill is unenforceable. It is
Sir, your
unfree.
time is,
It is against liberty. It is against personal responsibility. The governor knows this, and she will veto. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions for this witness? Oh, I'm sorry, there's a question? Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for taking my question.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Which bathroom do you use?
I use the men's room. That's what people are going to expect based on my appearance.
Thank you.
But
all right, other questions?
there aren't intersex bathrooms. So,
Other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Okay.
Jennifer Smith and, Jennifer Smith, and on deck will be, excuse me. Wait a minute. On deck will be Amy Terranel. I hope I've pronounced that correctly.
I unplug that?
Ms. Smith? No, it's, I think it's plugged in.
Okay.
The light's on, so I think it's
All right.
plugged in.
Okay, thank you for taking my testimony. I'm Jennifer Smith. I'm a retired family physician. I am transgender, if you haven't guessed that already, and I've testified so many times in front of so many committees that you probably do know that. This bill is just ridiculous. I don't know how I would know when I play with my women's tennis team that when we go out for a little lunch afterwards, that this restaurant doesn't like me. And they don't have a third option. They don't have any private stall bathroom for anybody. So what am I supposed to do? I mean, this is ridiculous. But let's get to the heart of this. This is about prejudice, and it's an ancient prejudice. And clearly, men who have testicles and lots of testosterone and higher levels than the average woman, although many women have a fair amount more than average, and that shows, and there is medical evidence of that. You know, how in the hell does this make sense? And there isn't any evidence that those of us, even those who haven't had bottom surgery, like Alice Wade and myself have had, and multiple tens of thousands of other women in this country and across the world, are dangers to anybody. And clearly, biological men are dangers to us, just as they are to women. Men who have penis and testicles are dangers to small boys even, because there are a subset who are pedophiles towards boys. This is an ancient piece of knowledge, and people used to, in ancient cultures, castrate boys specifically because they wanted to raise them that way.
Time is up. All right. Thank you. Questions for this witness? Oh, yeah, we're gonna fix that, but just speak loudly for your question. All right. All right. Anyone else have any questions? Thank you very much. So we're going to take just a minute to fix the.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Yep, yeah, we're working now. All right.
Mine worked.
All right. All
I
right.
mean, you could borrow it.
All right. So Amy Terranova?
Terravecchia.
Terravecchia, sorry. And on deck will be Thems, I think, from Nottingham. All right. Please,
Good morning. Thank you so much. My name is Amy Terravecchia. I'm the Executive Director of 603 Equality, and I'm speaking in opposition to this bill this morning. I could have easily begun with saying I speak in opposition to HB 148 or SB 268 or SB 552 or SB 459 or HB 1217, HB 1299, HB 1422, HB 1447. You hopefully get my point here. It's hard to keep track of all of these bills. There has been a revolving door of nearly identical policy that both the House and Senate have insisted on relitigating. I know it's considered respectful to everyone's time here to avoid repeating the same arguments verbatim. But since our legislators seem insistent on bringing forth the same bills to committee again and again, I'm going to assume positive intent and proceed with the understanding that they are hungry to hear the thoughts of their constituents again and again. I have three main points I'd like to make this morning. The first is that enforcement of bathroom policing policies creates privacy and safety concerns for all of us. Others have raised the concerns around enforcement. I share those concerns. And I think that there is no real way to enforce policies like this in a safe way that honors Granite Staters' privacy and safety. The second point I'd like to make is that policies like this open up businesses and states to lawsuits. And these lawsuits can be costly. We've heard already of a very recent case in Boston, Liberty Hotel, and they can also negatively impact the economic health of the state overall. Anti-LGBTQ legislation imposes significant economic risk to states that enact it. It can decrease tourism. It can have negative impacts on workforce development and retention. These are things that we are struggling with a state. And I'd like for our legislators to consider these economic implications of this bill as well.
All right. Thank you very much. Your time is up. Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you. Next is, and again, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Thompson. I'm sorry?
Thompson.
Thompson, I'm sorry. And next on deck will be Simon Amaya. Simon Amaya Price.
And before we begin, if the mic, we can hear you where the mic is. It's really tight, so if you pull it towards you, it's going to unplug it again. So,
Okay.
But we can hear you where it's at. Thank you.
Yep. Apologies for my crappy writing.
No problem.
So my name is Ty Thompson. I'm a transgender person who is non-binary. I do live in Nottingham, New Hampshire. I am deeply weary and wary of this proposed legislation. As many people before me have shared, this is a multiples of multiples that we have been here having the same conversation, and one of 10 specific legislative efforts that are targeting trans people that are happening only this week. I'm concerned by the context of these bills as a continuing assault on trans, non-binary, and gender divergent individuals. They're an attempt to erase the ways in which trans people are visible and the ways in which we access the everyday places, people, and things that support health and well-being, including healthcare, education, and recreation. Because let's be honest, anywhere you go in the world, you will need to access a restroom. This legislation is a solution in search of a problem. It's not grounded in any proven threat to public safety. Numerous studies show that allowing transgender people to use restrooms that align with their identity poses no gender. What this legislation does threaten is the safety and dignity of trans individuals, especially youth, who already face high rates of harassment. This bill follows a dangerous pattern of using the law to other a segment of our population that is simply trying to live peacefully. It's this intentional use of othering that has been part of a national political strategy. In 2024 election cycle, $215 million were spent on anti-LGBTQIA media advertisements, largely targeting transgender people. It is of no surprise that the almighty algorithm of AI today continues to propagate information that is misaligned with truth to people on a daily basis. This is not accidental. History shows us that authoritarian states target minorities to consolidate power by creating a common enemy, diverting public frustration, and strengthening in-group solidarity. By scapegoating these groups, leaders justify oppressive policies and maintain control over the majority.
Thank you very much, sir. Your time is up.
Yeah, I don't want this in New Hampshire. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Questions for this witness? No. All right. Next, I'm going to call on Simon Amaya Price, and on deck will be Claire Abernett.
Good morning, representatives. Thanks for letting me speak. My name is Simon Amaya Price, and it's lovely to see you all here today. I used to be trans. When I was 14, I came out to my parents and my therapist, and I said I was really a girl inside. As you can see, I'm very much not a girl, and despite the fact that I was not affirmed by gaining entry into women's spaces, I did not kill myself, as the lie was said to my parents and is being said to you many times today. I think listening to the previous testimonies, well, that's not where I want to start. I was just out in the hallway when I was going to the bathroom, ironically, and a woman came up to me, and I won't share her name, but she told me that she's sick of having to come here and to continue to defend women's rights to their own spaces. She shared with me that she is a survivor of sexual assaults. As we know, men commit sexual assault at far higher rates than women, and taking estrogen and undergoing surgeries does not a man make, or does not a woman make, rather. And in fact, we see that there's a highly disproportionate representation of so-called transgender women, that is men who say they are women, in the federal prison population, specifically for sex crimes. And I can provide sources later today if you would like. But she was so moved that she had to be here again and again and again, because this legislature or the governor, more accurately, refuses to defend women's spaces. That she is afraid to go to the bathroom. And so when we're talking about fear going to the bathroom, there are many, many women, about half of the population, or normal women, who just want to go to the bathroom, who just want to have the right to their own spaces in sports. And we can't keep pretending.
Thank you, sir. Your
Absolutely.
time is up.
One more thing. We can't keep pretending that men can become women. Thank you very much. Happy to answer any and all questions.
For this witness. Representative Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for taking my question. Do you identify as a gay man?
Do I identify as a gay man?
Yeah.
Why is my sexuality any of your business?
Well, I guess what I was wondering is, like, do you find it insulting, if you do identify as a gay man, to be associated with an entire spectrum of people that do not have nearly the same issues that you're dealing with?
As a bisexual man, I find it heavily insulting to be grouped in with men who think they're women, women who think they're men, and people who call themselves queer. Yes.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Other questions? Representative Birch.
Thank you for your testimony. Since you premised a lot of your testimony on safety of women,
yeah,
can you perhaps provide your opinion on the bill that would remove protection of women, the so-called barriers, when they seek reproductive health facilities?
What does this have to do with the bill at hand?
Yeah,
Talking about the safety of women.
It's not this bill. All right. Other questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you very much, sir. Next, Claire Abernathy, and on deck will be Representative Seth King.
Hello, everyone. My name is Claire Abernathy, and I'm a 21-year-old detransitioner and IWF ambassador, and I'm here today to voice my support for HB 1217. While others in this room have and will rightfully discuss the danger of allowing boys into girls' locker rooms in sports, I would like to offer a different perspective. When I was in the 8th grade, I began to undergo medical interventions to make my body more masculine, including testosterone injections and a double mastectomy, because I believed that I was really a boy inside. I moved to a new school where no one had known me before I adopted trans identity, where I was put into a boys' gym class and used the boys' restrooms and locker rooms. Despite the interventions I had undergone, and me never telling anyone that I was female, it was immediately obvious to everyone in the room that I was a girl. Putting me on steroids did not... It changed my voice and it made me grow body hair and facial hair, but it didn't change my 5'1" stature. Cutting my breasts off made my chest flat and eliminated my need for a bra or a breast binder, but it did not narrow my hips. I didn't know it at first, but I was in danger. A month or so after moving schools, a group of boys attacked me in the restroom. I was kicked and pushed around. I had my face smashed into a mirror and broke one of my teeth. I stopped drinking liquids in the morning to avoid having to use the restroom after that. A while after that, a boy waited for me to come into the locker room, and he sexually assaulted me. And he told me that if I ever told anyone, he would kill me. Being put on testosterone did not even the playing field between me and these boys. My female biology meant that I had no way of defending myself when attacked. Sex differences in both physical strength and tendency towards aggression are real and are not overwritten by hormones. Putting a girl on testosterone does not make her capable of the same level of physical strength as a boy, and blocking a boy's testosterone does not eliminate his physical advantage and his greater tendency for violence, as evidenced by patterns of criminology documented among trans-identified people. Every case I'm familiar with of a person being harassed or assaulted in a restroom, locker room, or sporting facility.
But your time is up.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions? Representative Birch.
Thank you. Just so our record is complete, I noticed your pink card did not include your address. Could you indicate? Oh, okay.
All right, other questions for this witness?
Am I allowed to ask if she's from New Hampshire or not?
Sure, you can ask if she's from New Hampshire or
Like, do I live here currently?
Yes.
I live in Marblehead, Massachusetts.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Representative Alexander.
Mr. Chair, I guess we never ask any other witnesses where they're from. There are out-of-state people that testify all the time. I guess I'm wondering, there is a line of questioning that seems a little ridiculous by some members, and if you could make sure that our questions are respectful, thoughtful, and well laid out, that'd be great.
My question was in.
All right. Yeah, we're not going to have a debate on this now, but your point is noted. Next, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. Next, I'm going to call on Representative Seth King, and on deck will be Diana George.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, colleagues. There's been several challenges to this proposed law and others like it that it would be unenforceable. But I completely disagree. It's totally enforceable. If somebody wants to ride a roller coaster and the person operating the roller coaster thinks a person might be too small, can you please stand up next to something that measures how tall you are? If you're going to go on a zip line and the person who's operating thinks, hey, this person might be too heavy for the zip line, they might have you stand on a scale. If you're going to go buy some alcohol and the person selling the alcohol thinks you're too young, they'll ask for your ID, which shows your age. It could be the same thing with this. If there's probable cause to figure out whether a person is male or female, you don't need to pull their pants down and look at their genitals. You just look at their identification. So long as the identification is accurate, as it should be, as it could be, it's not an issue. As for certain people that are, exceedingly convincing in their transition, congratulations, they pull the wool over our eyes. They got to use the restroom of their choice. It happens all the time. There's lots of laws on the books that people are able to, surreptitiously evade. That doesn't mean we just throw the baby out with the bathwater and get rid of the rule entirely. My testimony's done. I'll be happy to take questions.
Questions for this witness? Yes, Representative Rombo.
Okay, so if I understand your testimony correctly, are you suggesting that some people should be carrying ID at all times to be checked?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, people when they leave the house, they carry an identification with them. And if there's probable cause that, whether it's a police officer or a business owner says, hey, we have an issue here, yeah, you may need to show your identification. I don't think it's the end of the world.
Follow up, please.
Follow up, yes.
Who defines probable cause and who gets to decide to ask for identification?
Thank you very much for the question. It's the same thing when a person goes to buy alcohol. If you appear to be potentially underage, that's in the eye of whoever's selling the alcohol. It's the same thing here. If a person who owns the business, it's their business, it's home rules, they own the business, they could, as far as I'm concerned, they should be able to say, you're not allowed to even be in my business for any reason whatsoever. So yeah, I think that it's probable cause is run by the business owner or whoever runs the establishment.
One more follow-up.
If you're in a bathroom in a building like the State House, is anybody in the State House allowed to ask you to show your ID? Anybody else in the bathroom?
Well, no, but what they could potentially do is they could ask some sort of authority and say, hey, I think there's somebody here in the women's room, for example, who really shouldn't be there. And if, let's say, the state police agrees, hey, this person really is a man in the woman's bathroom, can you please provide your ID? And if they've broken the law, then at that point, there's problems.
Other, Representative Tur and then Representative Birch.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for taking the question. So I'm a little bit of a follow-up on Representative Rambo's line of questioning. The bill doesn't mention anything about IDs or anything along those lines as a means of identifying your gender. Is it your testimony that what it says on your state-issued license should be definitive in terms of what your gender is?
Yes, I mean, generally speaking, the gender on your ID is in accordance with actual biology, but because things have become so muddled over the last decade plus, now the IDs have become very not reliable. And I understand that, yes, this bill doesn't specifically address that issue, but it is an issue that needs to be addressed. And my hope is that when there's a will, there's a way. We will continue to work through the problems and get the IDs back under control again.
Representative Birch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative. I wanted to question you about what you said at the tail end of your testimony about the owner of a business, private owner, private business, let's say somebody's running a hotel, should be able to exclude anyone they wish, period. Is that an accurate reflection?
Yeah, I believe in freedom of association, which also implies the freedom of disassociation. So we're not forced to hang out with people that we don't want to hang out with.
So if I could follow up with one question.
One question.
So that would mean it's your testimony that if somebody's running a hotel and if they wanted to refuse Jews or people of color or the like, you would support that?
I mean, that's not what's being addressed in the bill, but generally speaking, yeah, I don't believe in anti-discrimination laws.
Thank you.
Other questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you. Diana George, please.
Press the button
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My name is Diana George. I'm a resident of Hancock, New Hampshire. I have a 24-year-old son who is transgender. What I'm going to talk about is a little different than, because I'm not going to repeat the same stuff that other people are saying, which are about opposition to this bill, because you've heard it. And I'm tired of repeating myself about these ridiculous, disgusting bills. I already went through this in 2018, and we passed anti-discrimination laws back in 2018. So this is just absolutely stupid. I'm going to make clear that I'm speaking for myself. I work for the Department of Corrections. I'm a registered nurse at the women's prison. There are numerous pedophiles and sex offenders that are cisgender. They're not transgender. If you don't know what cisgender means, that means that you identify with the sex that you were born, assigned at birth. There are far more rapists and pedophiles that are cisgender than transgender. And if you go into a bathroom, there's nothing stopping a cisgender male going in there to rape you or attack you or your child. Nothing. But we have laws in place to take care of that. Transgender people are just a small amount of people that you're torturing constantly with these ridiculous bills. It's sickening. It needs to stop. And it's always the Republicans.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Right.
Any questions?
Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you very much. I don't think I have any other pink cards on 1217, although I certainly have lots of them on the other bills. Is there anyone else who wishes to be heard on 1217? Yes. Please come up and can you fill out a pink card, please?
I haven't submitted a pink card, yeah.
Pardon?
I did fill out a,
You did
submit
fill
a pink
out.
card. My name is Chris Urchel.
Okay, well, I may have it in the thing here somewhere. Go ahead, please.
All right. My name is Chris Urchel, and I am an attorney with GLBTQ Legal Advocates and Defenders based in Boston, but I do a lot of work here in New Hampshire. And I'm going to use this time to talk specifically about the issue of excluding transgender people from playing sports, which, as you all likely know very well, this legislature enacted a law banning transgender girls.
Can we, Mr. Chair, can we get some order in this room, please? Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's restart.
Please, yeah, we'll start again. Let's start again.
Can we just have someone from the Sergeant at Arms staff in here, please?
Don't worry, I'll leave the room. No, please don't. Jonah, please don't leave. That's not necessary.
I mean, if he's going to talk during my testimony, then he should probably leave.
It wasn't
Awesome, yeah.
somebody yelling at him.
All right. Let's see. Can we close the door there, please? Representative,
Thank you.
we're going to start again. I'm sorry. Sorry for the interruption.
Thank you, Chairlin. My name is Chris Urchel. I'm an attorney with GLBTQ Legal Advocates and Defenders, a Boston-based LGBTQ rights organization. I do a lot of work here in New Hampshire. And as you all know very well, a couple of years ago, this body passed and the governor signed a bill that prohibits transgender girls from playing school sports. That bill was promptly enjoined by a federal court, and that injunction is still in place today as the litigation proceeds. It makes little sense to enact new legislation governing the issue of transgender people's participation in sports when there is currently a federal lawsuit going on right here in New Hampshire, and there's currently an injunction in place. I think that you've heard already today the issue of excluding people from school sports is a very complicated and hot button issue that people discuss with a lot of passion because a lot of people do care a lot about the opportunities for women and girls in athletics. And of course, there are a lot of reasons that it does not harm anyone to allow transgender people to participate in sports just like anyone else. Is there anything going on behind me that I should be stopping for?
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Prohibitions on athletic participation by transgender girls in sports can run up against serious issues with federal constitutional and statutory law that prohibit their enforcement, and it makes little sense for this legislature to be engaging in legislation around this issue while it's currently being litigated in court. I'm happy to take any questions on that.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you very much. And now let me repeat again, I don't think that I have any other cards on 1217. Is there anyone else who wishes to be heard on 1217? Seeing none, I'm going to close the hearing on House Bill 1217, and I'm going to open the hearing